Hello.
Welcome to OLIP, everybody.
Hey, I didn't forget to unmute my shit this week.
Yay!
Yeah.
There's a first time for everything.
Moral victory.
What the hell?
It's a little win, but it counts.
All of a sudden, YouTube's giving me the audio stream's current bitrate 0 is lower than the recommended bitrate. What?
0 is a little low, you say. Thanks, YouTube. Good tip.
What? Why is my audio bitrate different now?
We start streaming and it's immediately broken. It's an old meme, sir, but it checks out.
It's an every week meme at this point. I don't know.
Cody used to, we used to, every time I would stream and something would go wrong, Cody would give me endless shit about it.
I would.
Now, oh, how the turntables.
Big time.
These are good turntables. Well, anyways, even though things are broken, apparently, we are going to strive on, and hopefully that this is adjusts itself. I don't understand. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense.
We shall pray.
Yeah.
Pray to our machine gods.
Anyways.
Burn the incense, light the oils, and prayers for the emperor.
I'm one part excited that you knew that, and one part disturbed that you know that off the top of your head.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, the Omnissiah prayer or some shit? Like,
that's just like things they do. That's not like a prayer. That's just like.
No, I know, but you're like, I know the setup to pray to the machine god. Just give me 2 seconds. I got you.
I also went to church as a kid, and that's like a pretty standard setup in
I'm gonna be honest.
I'd go to church with my grandpa who was Catholic, and they did the same shit there, minus the Omnissiah.
Yeah, it was up and down and up and down, because you're standing and then you're kneeling and then you're standing and then you're sitting and then you're kneeling and then you're standing. Yeah, I went to Catholic church as a child too. That's the only thing I remember, is that it's basically a workout more than anything. But anyways, boys, what have you been playing this week?
RuneScape, old school RuneScape.
Ooh, how's that going for you?
It's been going good. I recently finished all of the free-to-play quests in the game, so I picked up membership, and it's been fun going through members again. I had to remake my character because I lost my old character.
Lame.
But it's been very nostalgic playing through like all these old quests that I remember from like doing when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But now they're like kind of updated, because that was like back in RuneScape Classic when it was 2D. So now I'm doing like all the same shit. Like, wow, I don't remember this at all, because it wasn't like this when I played.
Also was like, I don't know, how long ago? 20-ish
like
years ago?
2001.
Don't answer that question.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
Yeah. So 22 years ago. Yeah.
Way back.
Yeah. I can barely remember 3 months ago. So, as you guys probably know through constant conversations with me, I don't remember a lot, and that's okay. But no, I'm glad you. So wait, how much does membership cost for RuneScape?
I think I did like the 1 year option for like $80 or something. Something like that.
Oh, excuse me. Well, I'm glad you're finding joy in nostalgia. Like legit joy, not a few hours of joy like I get with Pokemon, and then disappointment slowly sets in after that, after I realize how little. Anyways, we won't go down that rabbit hole. Tim, what have you been playing?
Similarly to Justin, I have been playing new old games. And the games that I'm playing are not actually old games that are remade. They're just new iterations of very old game formulas, and it's great. Like, I've been playing Wasteland 3 a lot this week, and I've also been playing MechWarrior 5. And I remember I tried MechWarrior 5 on Game Pass when it came out, and it didn't really stick.
Wasn't good.
But then, no, it is good though.
No, it is now. It had issues on release. I've heard.
Yeah,
I've heard
but it's
that
really good now. Like, if you look at the Steam reviews now, it's all mostly positive, very positive. I think it's all very positive now. It's all over 80%. And it runs great on the Steam Deck. Like, even on ultra settings, like it's awesome. It plays. I it plays so much like an old MechWarrior game that I had to go in and change the control scheme, because by default your joystick acts like a flight stick. So you have the throttle up and then you have to throttle down to go backwards, and then like it was like, oh no, this is like playing MechWarrior 2 when I was a kid, which I loved. But I don't want to do that anymore. Games have changed, but you can toggle it to be like a standard third-person shooter style controls.
Right.
Cool.
So much better, so much better, and a lot more satisfying. And I think I don't think that was in when I started playing it, and I think that's what turned me off. And now that that's in, I was like, oh, this is phenomenal.
Right.
So I've been playing the hell out of that, and then I've also been playing Wasteland 3, which, for those who don't know, Wasteland is made by In Exile, who are part of that studio. Is largely a lot of the old Fallout devs that didn't go over to Obsidian. So they're making their take on what they think Fallout style games should be in a post-apocalyptic America, but it's not Fallout, it's just Fallout adjacent. So it's kind of awesome. And there's rumors about them, and that makes me excited too. So,
yeah. Stop me if you've heard this before. I didn't finish Wasteland 3, but I had a good time with the amount of time I did put into it.
What is the last game you beat?
I was thinking about that, and I think it was that DICE game from fucking EA.
Lost in Random?
Lost in Random. That's the last game I remember beating. I have a vague memory of maybe beating one or two things and after that. Not as memorable though. Because I really enjoyed Lost in Random. I thought that was actually a very it's more of like in the kids realm of like difficulty, but I overall enjoyed like the story and the art and all that kind of stuff or whatever. So
it does a really good job hitting you right in the dopamine.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
yeah,
what
that game had real like American McGee's Alice vibes.
Yeah, it was just it was a different game than what I'm used to playing. I think that's what also really helped, because it was like, oh, like I want to run around and like really look at this. It's also the only game I can think of off the top of my head that's like basically exploring a world that Tim Burton built. You know what I mean? Like, you don't. I can't think of another game that's like
Alice. He should play Alice at
you
some
think?
point.
I wonder if it holds up today. You know,
I don't know.
I know what you're talking about.
There was the 360 version.
Yeah.
I know they made a sequel. Actually, yeah. I don't know if you guys saw this, but American McGee, the guy who did Alice and various other weird games, they did Alice and they did a sequel to Alice, and I think those were both published by EA. And he pitched a third game to EA relatively recently. And he had like this 1,000-page lore document, design document, just laying the game out. And EA was like, "Nah, we're good." But their statement was like, "We do not feel comfortable using one of our valued IPs in this way." Like, valued IPs, dude. Barely anyone even knows about the Alice games. Come on.
And you haven't touched it in over a decade. And the last thing that they put out was I think the Xbox 360 remaster, because there was the second game, Return to Madness or whatever, but I think they also did a remaster of the first one around the same time.
Oh yeah.
It's
so goofy.
Can we just mention this, because I feel like this is something that's missed by a lot of publishers, and it's like, if you had something come out 10 years ago and it was more like a kid vibe, right? Obviously, I'm really thinking about Pokemon right now, but there's probably other examples.
This is the wrong game to mention kid vibes, but okay.
Right. Yeah. But it's just like, I have a feeling in that 1,000-page document or whatever it was probably more mature, type vibes kind of thing.
Already pretty mature.
I really don't think he understands the bag.
No, I don't. I know Alice in Wonderland. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and I know.
A serial killer.
Oh, I like this. So wait, is this Alice in Wonderland meets Manhunt? Is that what this is?
Not that dark.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
so there was another layer of darkness that they could go to.
Just look up the cover art and you will get the vibe.
I vaguely remember the cover art. So I do
Google it real quick. You'll get the vibe.
Okay.
I don't mean now necessarily, but you can.
No, I'll do it now. I mean, shit. We have no doc today, so we're just off the cuff.
I know what you mean though. Like there are a lot of games like that like, I think games that we played growing up, it would be cool to see something aged up for us in that same realm.
Right.
I do feel like some things do. I feel like there's something that did that very recently that I was just talking to Andrea about. Can't think of what it is now.
I do remember this cover with her with the bloody knife and all that stuff.
Her knife,
yeah, I do remember this. Yeah, I just wish that publishers would pay more attention to that. Like, hey, if your target audience was like 12 to 17 when this originally came out, and now they're like 24 to 32 kind of thing, like maybe age up the content a little bit, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to stay in that exact same age range forever. You know what I mean? And maybe that's something you plan out from the beginning, like from stage one. Like, hey, if we do make a sequel, we'll do this. You know what I mean?
I thought of what it was that was like that. Have you guys ever watched the Dora the Explorer movie, the live action one?
No.
Oh.
That is absolutely like that. I've never watched Dora the Explorer, like the show, as a kid. Like I've seen like it's been on the TV or whatever. Never watched it, but I was at my friend's house and they were referencing something from the movie. I was like, "What is that?" "Oh, Dora the Explorer. It's really good, like surprisingly good." And I was like, "All right, borrow it to me. I'll check it out." It's really fucking funny, and it's really vibes of like people who watched the show growing up, but who are older now would really just like appreciate the hell out of it because it really kind of like ages up the humor and stuff.
And I just feel like more companies should do that. AKA Pokemon. Get with the fucking program. Anyways, I always
they do so much that's like on the verge of that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, do you remember those commercials they had where it was like found footage, like Pokemon attacks?
Bro,
like,
yes.
What are they doing with this?
Yes.
Nothing. We're not doing anything with
that. And it was so good. It was like, hey, like, how do we always end up a Pokemon? It's my fault. Anyways, but like Detective Pikachu was a thing, right? And that was a thing. How was that movie now? 6 years old, probably.
Something like that.
It was like, when did Detective Pikachu come out?
I brought Logan to see it in theaters. I don't think it was 2018. He was a little older than that.
Sonic was like 2019, right?
Yeah.
It was. Sonic.
Maybe I didn't bring him to see it in theaters. Maybe we watched it on demand.
May 10th. Oh, hey, it came out on my birthday. May 10th, 2019.
Yeah.
2019.
For Detective Pikachu.
I don't think I brought him to see it in theaters, and I think maybe we waited because he would have been.
I did see this in theaters.
He'd have been 4. He'd have been 4. Maybe I did take him. I don't know.
Sonic. Let me look up Sonic.
Gotta go fast.
I looked up Sonic release date. Not specifying
the
movie. I got June 23rd, 1991. So Sonic and I are almost the exact same age, about a month and a little bit more. So Sonic, the movie, February 14th, 2020. Really?
Okay.
I didn't.
It was a pandemic movie, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was the last movie
I
before everybody was stay the fuck at home. I remember now. Yeah, I remember now. Anyways, but like Detective Pikachu, Sonic, all these kind of things. Like Sonic's the only one that's got a sequel, but it's just like these were fairly successful. Make a sequel.
Supposedly the Mario movie is really good, by the way.
Justin saw it.
Yeah, I saw it. It's got a lot of really good references to the games and shit, man.
Yeah.
If you're a Mario fan, if you like Mario, highly recommend.
Yeah.
At this point, because everyone's had like over a year to deal with it, is the Chris Pratt thing just not a problem in the movie?
No, it wasn't an issue at all. And actually, the movie kind of like shuts that down in the very beginning. They have a scene where it's like Mario and Luigi doing a commercial for their plumbing business. And they do like the super Italian accents for the whole commercial. So by the end of that commercial, you're like, thank God this whole movie isn't like this. So yeah, that's kind of their little shot. Yeah.
Yeah, bro. I'm excited to see that. Me and Emily watched Cocaine Bear last Friday.
Oh yeah.
It's on Peacock, and my wife has or not my wife. Wow, I was thinking I watched it with my wife. My mom has Peacock, and she let us borrow login and whatnot. And Cocaine Bear, not a good movie.
It's not trying to be.
But I wouldn't. Whatever it's trying to be, it still didn't do a very good job about it.
Oh, no.
Because there's like 18 different storylines going on all at the same time. You know,
you have to do cocaine to really appreciate it.
Probably. You can
like
relate with the main
Wikipedia entry while watching it. Be like, oh, it's good.
Well, you'll just relate with the main character more. All right, like that's just if you're just doing cocaine at the same time. Yeah, I don't know.
Is the bear the main character?
I would say so. Yes, because
Awesome.
everything revolves basically around what the fuck this bear is doing, and Ice Cube's son is in it. I forget his name. He does a good job in that movie, but he's about the only one. Oh, and have you guys seen those like Facebook Reels or TikToks or whatever? The angry supermarket guy or whatever, or sales guy.
Yeah,
he has a role.
I love that guy,
dude. It was funny. We're watching it, and I saw him in his signature mustache, and I went, "Hey, he really looks like this guy that I've watched these videos on." Or whatever. My wife's like, "What are you talking about?" And then afterwards, she was IMBDing a bunch of the characters because they have this group of teenagers that all look 30. Like it's just like, it's just bad, yeah. And so she was just seeing who they were as actors, and then she looked up that guy. And she's like, "Oh, hey, the guy, yeah, that is that guy." Like, I was like, "Oh, that's great. He's tall." Like, I don't know. I don't know. But it's not a great movie, but it is like. There's still like a decent. It's just like watching a B movie, right? Where it's just like, is a B movie? I don't watch enough movies. I don't know.
I'm like he's perfectly describing like most B movies. This one just got memed to death because people saw the trailer and thought it was hilarious. And then we get to it. And he goes, "It's just like a B movie." I'm like, there we go. You nailed it.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched Draft Day yesterday while playing Dead Island, and that's also a B movie.
You watched Draft Day to get yourself hyped for the draft, really?
It's an annual tradition. It's an annual tradition. What do you want? You didn't even know the draft was tomorrow, okay? So I don't want to hear it.
I didn't know what you were asking me about specifically. You just go, "Are you excited for tomorrow?" I was like, "Not really."
Tim,
I have to go to work.
If I would have asked you that same question about 3 years ago, you would have known exactly what I was talking about.
Back when Tim was a football fan.
When he was
I'm still a football fan.
He's just a fan.
Other obsessions. I get to mod my Game Boy when the parts get here. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to see how that turns out.
You should do like a tutorial. Or like a video cut up of you like trying to mod it.
Video.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna be very hard because the one that I ordered has like a solderless install for the screen.
Oh.
So
nice. Damn it! I was hoping to get like a cut up of you like shocking yourself and shit while you're like putting it together or whatnot.
I don't think you know how a soldering iron works.
No. I wasn't thinking of a soldering iron when I originally envisioned this. Because I don't know how to mod a Game Boy. I've never looked that up. So
that's not that hard. I have a tri-wing screwdriver. I'm going to take 5 tri-ring screws out, 1 Phillips screw. I'm going to open it up. Going to undo a couple of little ribbon cables, clean up the board, put it in a new shell, put the new screen in there. Yeah, I'm going to do a battery mod at some point too, but that's coming later because that's like you can get like a USB-C rechargeable battery pack.
Oh, that's fucking dope.
They're like $60 though.
Well, I mean, yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, I'm already gonna be dropping like 80 on this first mod. I'll do that later.
Right.
So.
Okay, I do want to talk about Dead Island because
I haven't
stopped fucking playing it since Saturday when I bought it. Well, I bought it Friday night, waited for it to install, and then I didn't start it till Saturday. And honestly, I didn't know if I was gonna start playing it because when I bought it, like I've told both of you now, I didn't necessarily buy it for me. I bought it with the thought process of Emily beat Far Cry, right? She beat Far Cry 5. She beat the DLC. Doesn't really have a game right now. I was like, well, I'll play it a little bit and then I'll probably drop off of it because that's my MO, right? I'll follow the dopamine for a little while, and then when I don't want to play it anymore, I'll just stop playing it. You know what I mean? And she'll get on there and beat it and whatever. You know what I mean? It'll still be worth the money at the end of the day. And no, that is not what happened. I have played it every day, and I am having an incredibly good time with it, which is funny because I've watched a lot of reviews about this game, from Moist Critical to Skill Up to, I don't know, name a person. I've been looking up like IGN review, like the whole nine. Moist Critical said gave it a 55% on his Moist meter, which I felt was low, right? Skill Up, yeah, Skill Up gave it a 7 out of 10, which I feel is more fair. But I mean, it's just the number one thing they nailed in this game to me personally, is that killing zombies is legitimately fun. You have plenty of options of how to do it. It's fun to do. There's some of the other reviewers didn't feel like there was plenty of mods. I think there's a ton of mods, right? My favorite one being they have this acid that you can use as a mod on your weapons to melt zombies. I put them on brass knuckles, and then you can mod it further and increase the attack speed and all this other stuff. So I'm no joke wading through these zombies and just it looks like I'm hitting a fucking speed bag, dude. And I'm just punching all of them, and they're they're fucking the game's system for body parts coming off and all this kind of stuff. You can
they have,
watch
a super
them.
Developed system for
100%.
the actual damage and everything.
Yeah, so if you hit somebody in the face with these brass knuckles, right, their face is going to start melting, and it's going to go from there being skin to that underlayer of muscle to eventually you'll see the bone. If they're wearing clothes, they melt, the whole nine. Yeah. And you're just you're just fucking beating the shit out. It's so much fun, dude. It's
Oh, go ahead.
You were just talking earlier about how there's a zombie whose eyes popped out of its head, and you're trying to knock it off, is trying to bite you or whatever, and you just see the eyes swaying from the sockets.
No, not just swaying. They're knocking about, dude. It looks like that. You guys seen that toy from the 80s, the little clacker thing, whatever that you clack those balls together. And that's what it looked like. They're fucking all over the place, dude. Yeah. Yeah, they're all over the place. It's not just a weird animation where they're swaying back and forth. No, there's physics to the whole thing. Shut the fuck up. So they nailed obviously it's a zombie game. And what's the most fun thing about zombie games? Just killing zombies, and I just feel like they nailed it. Especially with the you can put blades on a baseball bat, right? And
a classic.
Yeah, and I actually avoided that for a while because I was that's too basic. And then and I was and then I did it, and I chopped off a zombie's leg, and it was so satisfying because it has that it has pretty decent hit detection, when you're fighting zombies, to where if you hit them in the leg, it will chop off their leg, kind of thing. You will maim them, or if you hit them in the arm or something like that. You know what I mean? Killing zombies is fun, right?
Yeah, they just nailed that 3-second loop
right.
of killing zombies.
Yeah, and it's just...
I would hope so, because that's like Cody was saying, that's the fun in zombie games, is killing zombies. Yep. And that's something that they did really well. To your point on the mods, Cody, the thing that I've heard the most, and I haven't played it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I've heard is the mods that are there at the beginning are good. It's just that there's no depth to the system. So by end game, the mods don't get better. It's just, boop, that's it.
So here's the thing. This is where I feel like they messed up the game. Yeah. There are better mods, but you don't get access to them until about halfway through the game, right? So there's probably a little bit further past the halfway point. I want to say, because if I go on the start screen, it'll tell you how many story missions there are and how many you've completed when you're loading in. I want to say there's 24 story missions, and I've done 16. I think when I had done 14 is when they opened up the rest of the game, kind of thing, which is the Fury mode that they talked about. that you see in like the trailers and stuff, that is not in the entire first half of the game. And then honestly, that's when the story, like an interesting piece in the story actually happens, is in this middle part of the game, which I found very interesting and I think reflects on the development hell that the game went through over the past decade while we've been waiting for it to come out. I haven't completed the game yet, but I've heard that it's a very abrupt ending, and that was part of the reason why Moist Critical gave it such a low rating. It's because the story overall is pretty generic, right? You're the immune human, and you're trying to, go be used so there can be a vaccine made, right? Like, that's the overarching story. But then I don't really know a whole lot more other than, like, they added some characters, and, like, you're looking at them, and they have, like, you're, like, getting ready to go into the Fury mode for the first time, and, like, it pulses, like, the screen red, and, like, the person had, like, lines and stuff on their face, and it was weird. And because they're like, we need to, like, help you see past the forest through the trees kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, and it's super vague the whole time, and then they, like, drop you into a fucking pit with a bunch of zombies, and it's just like, you go into Fury mode, and the game's just like, kill everything. And you're like, you're just killing everything. Anyways, yeah, so, like, that, like, the story doesn't really start getting interesting at halfway point, but that is also when they open it up, and you're able to collect zombie parts at that point, and then you have to collect X amount of zombie parts to make these mods. And these mods later in the game are way cooler. Like, when you hit somebody, you critical hit somebody, there's a chance of making them explode. Or if you chop off a limb, burnable liquid will come out. Or, you know what I mean? Like, or I just was finally able to do my first one right before we started the show, where it's like, when you hit somebody, you have a chance of regaining some health. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. Like, there's way more depth in that further system, but they put too many barriers on it. One, it feels too late in the game at that point, because you've already kind of set up your character a little bit at that point. Like, I'm getting purple level weapons. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really feel like I need to do these if I didn't really want to. If, like, I didn't want to experience that, I could skip it. And there's nothing that's gonna, like, I'm not gonna lose from the experience at that point, right? Because you're so used to them at that by the time you hit there. And then two, the zombie parts don't drop a lot. Like, they're mostly dropped from special zombies, right? So you have your slobber, your crusher, your screamer, which are the normal zombies, right? The slobber one being like the guy who spits, spitter, the big fat guy and whatnot. You know what I mean? Like, so you got those three guys, but then they have, like, zombies with riot gear on, right? Those drop certain things. They have the DoorDash, like, zombies kind of thing. They drop certain things. They have hydration zombies, yeah, they literally have, like, a pack on their back that's, like, supposed to contain food. Right. And they even have, like, a little extra, or, like, a little, like, collectible that you can find. It's like a text message conversation where somebody's like, hey, you don't have to drop off my food, like, it's fine. And the guy's like, no, I'm in the sewers, I'll be there soon, I've always delivered on time, and blah blah blah. Oh my God. And then the person texts him back a little while and is like, okay, you said you were coming, and I'm getting kind of hungry, hello, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's funny. Like, there's some funny parts. There's a lot of, like, kind of, like, fleshing out the world a little bit, like the Division did, and some other games, like through the environment. Environmental storytelling. They do that a little bit. So yeah, it's just there's a lot I can say about the game, but I would just say, for me, I would probably give this game an 8, but I'm totally cool with it being an older style type of game, because I feel like the biggest issue, like, this game knows exactly what it is, and it gives you things to do, but if you just want to go through the story, complete the story, like, you're not missing out on anything by doing that. They don't force you to explore. Like, you don't feel that need to explore like you do in an open world game. You know what I mean? Like, you get an open world, you're like, I want to go do all the things. And it's just like, you can go do these things, but if you just want to do the story, like, cool, man, and you're gonna get the core experience, and that'll be it. You know what I mean?
It's kind of nice.
Right. Like, it's just like, if I just want to blow through the rest of the story, like, it'd be fine. Like, I feel like I really know what this game is. But I'm having a fun time just walking around Venice Beach, looking for secrets and fucking beating the shit out of zombies. You know what I mean? Like, there's just nothing wrong with that. So,
did you buy it on Steam or on Xbox?
I actually bought it on the Xbox because I needed an excuse. Well, I take that back. I say I needed an excuse to play the Xbox. Honestly, Emily plays the Xbox all the time, right? That's her main console, basically, because I'm generally on the PC. But yeah, I wonder. I haven't looked because I don't want to be disappointed, but I'm pretty sure it's not. I want it. I really, really want it to come to Game Pass. I feel like in like 3 months, if this game could come to Game Pass, or like holiday season, if this game came to Game Pass, it'd be a perfect, like, it's cold outside, not a whole lot to do. Let's sit in here, jump on, kill some fucking zombies, bro. Yeah. Like,
Santa zombie.
Yeah, Santa zombie. Yeah. Well, Santa zombie. So I do want to go over just real quick a couple of the issues I do have with the game outside of like the barriers to like some of the cooler stuff that the game can offer. One, I don't want to be handheld through side quests, but I need some kind of fucking information. So they have these like lost and found quests, and for example, like one's a mailman, and you're supposed to like follow his packages, right? Mm-hmm. But the map has almost nothing on it, right? There's like stop. There's like these fuse box locations and lockbox locations, and then there's exits to different areas, right? And it's just like, okay, the quest was to find all the packages that he said at the homes, right? They don't tell you how many packages there are. They don't tell you when you've looked at all these packages and interacted with them like you're supposed to. They don't tell you what you're looking for after you look at said packages. Like, there's no information. All it says is follow the mailman's trail for the packages. That's all it said. I had to Google it. There's 2 packages. No, I take it back. There's 3 packages. He'll spawn after you've interacted with 2 of them. And it's a named slobber zombie or whatever, right? Like, but you don't get any of that. Like, Tim, I know I keep saying slobber because that is the name of the zombie.
You keep saying slobber? You talking about packages? Stop.
But it's just like there was just like no more information to go on for me to be like, well, like, can I at least know that I interacted with all these fucking packages and like I'm on to the next stage of this quest? Like, there's like, like, I don't know. Am I crazy? Am I asking for too much? I don't really feel like I am.
Yeah, I mean, that I've definitely had those experiences where you just don't know. You just have no idea what you're doing. And like, is there more to this? Have I done it? I don't know.
Yeah.
This game is new. I have no idea.
Right. And it is in like the first area, right? Like, you have to get to a certain point in the game because they slowly introduce the special zombies like the Crusher and the Slobber and the Screamer. They slowly introduce them, kind of thing. But so I was probably like 6 hours in at that point, right? So I was kind of already through the loop, but I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? I was getting mad. I was just like, what am I just want the weapon. Like, I just want a cool weapon. Like, that's all I fucking want. I want to open the box and get something cool so I can kill zombies with something cool. That's all I want, and you're just blocking me, bro. Like, I hate it.
That's exactly how I felt playing both Metroid Dread and Tunic.
Oh.
Both of those games, I just like got to a point where I was like, I don't know what to do now. What I'm doing is not working. I do not know where to go. I'm done playing this game.
Yeah. So I had to do that for 2 different ones too. I feel like if there's any more lost and found missions, I'm probably gonna have to do it for those 2 because there's just no context, like, at all. So I'm just like, fuck it. I don't know. I don't like to Google stuff when I'm doing stuff like that, but it is what it is. Anyways, Dead Island 2. I would say, I watched your video, Justin, on the value of video games and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I did. I listened to that. Like that. I did listen to that while I was playing. So, with that in mind, I would still suggest that, like, wait for like a 25% off sale And that's probably the range that this game should normally go in. That 50 to like 35 range, I think you'd probably be pretty happy with the purchase. But ideally, it just comes to Game Pass, and
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I think it'd fit right in. Especially like, I honestly, if I'm being perfectly honest, this is what I want from Redfall at this point, because we've seen so much bad shit. If they can at least deliver the same level of enjoyment that I get out of Dead Island, I'll be totally okay with it. It's not, it won't be a smash hit, but it's a solid game that's just fun to play and more fun to play with your friends.
I have a hot take regarding Redfall.
What's that?
People are fucking spoiled with FPS these days.
Oh, well, yeah.
And if we're so concerned about the game running at 4K 30, and that's the what do they call, prefer quality mode or whatever? Prefer
It's the quality mode.
Performance?
fidelity mode? No, that's not their performance mode. That's coming later. But my question is, so my Xbox is hooked up to a 1080p panel.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a 1080p 200 hertz panel. But like, if I'm playing the game at 1080p, my understanding is it's not going to run at 30.
What?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of
right.
I've seen a lot of the people reviewing it talking about not hitting that consistent 30 FPS at 4K, and I don't play anything at 4K, so that doesn't affect me.
So the 30 FPS at 4K lock is also supposed to just be on consoles. Like that's the big problem, is that hey, this Xbox that's supposedly the most powerful console on the fucking planet can't run this at 4K 60. You know what I mean? Like that, and on top of, like, a lot of people get it through Game Pass kind of thing, right? But if you don't subscribe to Game Pass, $70. You know what I mean? It's like, it goes back to the same argument that we have for like Zelda, right? Like, what am I paying $70 for if the box that I have isn't being used to its full potential? Like, why can't it do this? It's the
Or it's
most
being
powerful.
used to its full potential, but the developers don't care, and the game lags like shit anyway.
Right, like it's just like, I think that it's the bigger deal.
I think
that
that's
it's,
going to be what Zelda is, where it's maxing out that hardware. The hardware is just.
well, Skillet put out a review, and he did mention that there's lag spikes and everything while he was playing, because he got a hands-on review and he got to play it for like preview.
Yeah.
And he did mention that, like, it is pushing this fucking system to the limit. So I almost feel like, personal opinion, it'd be better to wait for a more powerful system to play this new Zelda. Just wait. Like,
Well, I mean, how bad did he say the frame drops were? Because the first game also had frame drops.
I don't know, like they were pretty substantial, but they're not.
it's probably playable, right? But here's gonna be my question: when it releases, what day does it come out? It comes out in like the next like 4 weeks, right? Something like that.
Are you talking about
Pretty soon.
Redfall or Zelda?
Zelda
The 20-somethingth.
of May.
Yeah, it's like the 20. It's not the 26th. Is it coming out on a Friday? Is it coming out on my wife's birthday?
I don't know.
Okay.
This is just my question, because like Redfall should be getting like negative press for
May 12th.
Oh, that's a couple days after my birthday. I won't be playing it. I'm really happy for everybody that will, but I kind of made my $70 purchase, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, because I actually really like the game. But anyways, fucking, like, Redfall should be getting the negative press about the 30 FPS. Is, like, when these reviews come out for Zelda, is it still going to get all these 10 out of 10 reviews, and they're just going to put it on the crutch of it's on a Nintendo Switch that came out in 2017, so fuck the frame drops? You know what I mean? Like, are they just gonna look past that? Because in most other games, right, you get frame drops and stuff like that, and they're noticeable or substantial, and they kind of hurt the experience a little bit. It would normally bring the overall grade down. Like, people don't fucking stand for that shit. Which goes back to Tim's point about people being spoiled with frames these days, which is I agree to a point.
I've been guilty of that to the point where how many times have I said I don't touch my Switch because there's a lot of games that I have available on other platforms that I play them on my Switch and it just feels bad. Even something like Mega Man 11 running on my Switch compared to playing it on PC, it just feels like worse on my Switch.
Right.
So I've been guilty of that in the past, but also I think playing more and more and more games on my Steam Deck, which Mega Man plays a lot better on my fucking Steam Deck than it does on my Switch. But that's not the point. My point being, like, I'm getting more experiences where I'm playing games at like 40 frames a second, and I lock it in there because I'm trying to save battery, and it's not really that bad because my frame rate matches the refresh rate of my screen.
Yeah.
So it's fine. So I guess I've kind of like I've kind of done a somewhat of a 180. Like, there's definitely games where I will play them on my PC because they feel like crap to play on my Steam Deck. Like, I play Halo on there sometimes as a novelty. Like, oh, I can play Halo on a handheld. But if I'm at home and I want to play Halo, I'm probably going to sit down at this computer, or I'm going to grab, my Xbox controller and play Halo at 120 frames a second and be like, this is better.
Yeah.
But I think that overall, gamers as a whole, we've all kind of hit that point of like, well, if it doesn't run at 4K 60, it's not worth my time. I'm like, dude, there's not a lot of graphics cards that push 4K 60. The consoles don't consistently push 4K 60. It's why upscaling technology exists.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah. As far as reviewers ignoring frame drops and giving this game like full 10s.
Yeah.
Anybody who does that, they're just a shitty reviewer, man. Do not listen to the review.
Well, that's the thing that I worry about, right? Because there's obviously people that we probably all listen to, right, when it comes to this kind of thing. And so are they I'm just worried, like, hey, I like all these other reviews, but then you're going to come out with this one and you're just going to totally overlook this issue. One, because this is the sequel to Breath of the Wild, and two, because that holds a whole lot of clout as is. And then two, they're going to be like, well, the Switch is old. What do you expect? Because Nintendo won't release it on any other platform. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. Which I get. It's a first-party title. Whatever. But I don't know. I just feel like that's what's coming.
Both sides of my mouth. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But also, it would be a shocker if Zelda were somehow able to run at above 30 frames a second consistently. Because the Switch...
Well, I'm not asking for above on the Switch. I would, if they could give me a secured locked 30 on the Switch, I think anybody would be happy. I'm just, I don't think anybody would argue with that.
I think when it comes to Redfall and like other games, they're not generally held back by that. Like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because I do think that a lot of us are spoiled in the whole 4K 30 thing. Is like, oh, that's just terrible. It's like, it's not really that bad. But also, the Xbox isn't a Switch. It should do a lot better, right? Like, Zelda does have that in his back pocket of like, okay, I'm trying here. Whereas Redfall has it in like, okay, the Xbox can't really, it's like, oh, it can. But the Xbox is not the problem here. There's another problem.
But the difference is like, I don't think people are expecting 4K 60. I think people I play all my games on performance mode, right? Like I play Madden on performance. I play Harry Potter on performance. I play any game that comes out these days because I would rather play because I'm a big fan of 1440, as we all know, because of my ultra wide, right? I would rather play at 1440 60 than I would 4K 30. You know what I mean? Like,
because I'm gonna get the most frame rate possible.
Right, but that's not even an option. I think that's the bigger issue, not necessarily the resolution. But I would rather play at 60 FPS in 2023 than 30 FPS. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's fair at this point to be critical of places for that, especially when it's just on the Xbox. Your computer, my computer, Justin, I don't remember what hardware you have, but we should all basically be able to run it at 60 in general these days if you have semi-updated hardware, right? You know what I mean? You can do that on the computer, so what's the limit? The Xbox is just a fucking prepackaged computer. That's all it is. So what is,
You'd think it would be easier to hit those frame rates that you're trying to get
because it's not
hardware.
You're not making a PS5 version, right? You know what I mean? Like you're making the game on a PC, you're porting it to Xbox generally, right? Like I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like that's kind of my overall issue with the thing, especially when it's Bethesda. Like this isn't fucking Joe Schmo. You know what I mean? Well, I mean it's Arcane, but you know, you get what I'm saying. Like Arcane has put out a bunch of good games. So like what? Like okay, you're not super new to multiplayer. Like you did it with, what was that game that came out last year? Deathloop. Is that what it is? Deathloop, right? You did it with Deathloop. Yeah. And now you're expanding on that a little bit. So like what happened? Like what
Deathloop was almost 2 years ago now.
It was Deathloop. 60 FPS, 4K.
Yes.
See, that's the thing. I don't even care about the 4K piece. Could it be 60 FPS? That's all. Especially if we're going back to like what Tim is always ragging on me about how I'm always like, how isn't there ultra wide support? Tar tar tar. You know what I mean? I'm always yelling about that, and he's like, go look at the Steam charts. Everybody still uses 1080p, bro. So like the 4K piece doesn't even matter. 60 FPS. That's all. That should be the baseline.
So it doesn't even. I mean, can you not play it at a lower resolution and achieve a higher FPS on the Xbox then?
That's what I was saying earlier. Is like if I'm hooked up to a 1080p panel, I would think that's the part that blows my mind. I would think that it would render at a lower resolution.
So the way they've described it is that this game is a locked 30 FPS. It's just whenever they talk about it, they always are talking about 4K, right? Okay. So it probably up-reses the 4K, would be my assumption.
Or it just natively renders at 4K and it'll downscale to your panel instead of doing the opposite. Right. That's what you typically get on most games on PC. You have the option to render at a lower resolution than then upscale it to your panel, which sometimes looks great and sometimes looks like shit. Right? Yeah. I and the Xbox and PS5 both support Fidelity FS Super Resolution, so they are capable of doing the same thing. Right. So are they just not doing that? Like, is that just not an option? Can it not render it? Does the Xbox version of the game not have a 1080p? Like, I'll render at 1080p.
So I'll be honest, I probably not, because every console game I've played on these new, it's not like, hey, I want to play at a lower resolution. It's you get quality, you get balance, and you get performance, or you just get quality and you just get performance, and you don't get the nuanced abilities like you do on PC, where it's like 1080p, 1440, whatever.
Typically, if you pick performance, it's rendering at 1080 or 1440.
Right.
If you pick quality, it's rendering at 4K.
Yeah.
But also, in your system settings on your Xbox, you can tell your Xbox this is a 1080p panel.
Oh,
or even on a 4K
TV, you can do that.
Can tell it this is a. You can tell your Xbox your 4K TV is a 1080p panel, and it'll render at 1080p. So, are the games not taking advantage of that, or are the games just like, no, I'm a 4K game. This is a 1080p panel. No, I'm a 4K game. 4K.
Honestly, that's. I hadn't even thought about that, but that is actually a good fucking question. Because I forgot that you can go in there. Now it looks like shit in my opinion, especially like on an OLED TV, if I turn it on to 1080p, like it doesn't look good. Like it just, I hate it. That was the one thing I've always hated about using my capture card, the HD60S or whatever, is you had to downscale it to 1080p, and you had to turn off HDR. It doesn't have HDR capabilities, kind of thing. And one of the problems is when you downscale it, it gets larger, right? Kind of thing. And so it would go off the screen a little bit, like it wouldn't capture necessarily everything. It wouldn't be a lot, but there was, you could noticeably in like in menus and see where it was like cutting stuff off.
I've never had that problem with my SR1.
Oh well, that's just an issue I had with
XR. It's like a plane.
It's part of the reason why I would love at some point to get a 4K capture card in my computer, but in this mid tower and with the 3090, I don't think I have enough fucking room, honestly. So
you don't.
Yeah. So it's just something that I've put off, kind of thing. But yeah, it's just I don't know. But once again, if Redfall can give me the same amount of entertainment or be the same level of game, a solid 7 out of 10 game, I think at this point that's a win for Xbox, even with all the other issues going on and everything. 7 out of 10, and then you just got to get to Starfield, and that game has to just that fucking game. If Redfall is a 7 out of 10, Starfield has to be a 10 out of 10.
I just want you to know.
So much pressure on that fucking game.
If I don't take a vacation in August, I am taking one in September.
Why would you take one in August?
Why not both?
Well, I'm planning on taking one in August.
love the thought processes for me and Justin. Justin's like, fuck them. Take 2 vacations. And I'm all like, why would you stop working, Tim? Work till you die.
You do know, Cody, I get paid for my vacations. That's how vacation works.
Not all vacations are paid, unfortunately.
That's because you're in the military.
No, mine are paid.
Oh,
I'm just saying,
well,
not everybody.
Everyone who doesn't have a terrible job.
Yeah.
If you're not using if you're using vacation time, you're getting paid for it. If your job doesn't give you vacation time, I'm sorry, get a better job.
Yeah.
It's not much of a vacation.
That's not a vacation if you can't get vacation.
When you decide to go on vacation, you just quit.
It's a brief unemployment. Yeah.
We're either gonna take a week and go up to the cabin, or if that doesn't wind up working out, then I'm gonna take the week Starfield comes out off and just lock myself.
You should just.
I'm just gonna,
that week off.
I'm just gonna download it on one of my machines and take it, and I'm gonna go to the cabin and lock myself up there and play Starfield. Fuck all y'all, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Tim, the gamer hermit.
The gamer hermit. I love that.
Dude, I would live in Montana if I had a steady internet connection and could pay my bills. Like, if they would let me.
If you live
I mean,
in Montana,
I'm sure somewhere in Montana that's possible.
Just leave me alone.
You wanna live in Montana?
I mean, like, out in the boonies. I will live wherever.
You want to live in Montana where they decided to ban TikTok and then don't know how to do so? That's the people that you want in charge of you for your state?
All right. Let me find another remote state where no one lives.
South Dakota.
Wyoming. Okay,
Wyoming.
South Dakota.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's other options. That's all I'm saying.
I found a Pinkie Pie on my desk.
Oh my god.
That
Oh no, that's Twilight Spark.
Real quick, we won't spend too much time on this, but Xbox Activision deal was blocked by the CMA.
Yeah.
Over cloud gaming concerns, not what I don't.
That wasn't me.
Oh, I was about to say,
He was looking at me like I did it.
I definitely thought Tim did that. I ain't gonna lie. Yes, very much so. What the hell was I gonna say? Yeah, so blocked by the CMA over cloud gaming concerns. So basically, the CMA thinks that if
Who's the CMA?
So CMA is from what I understand, because I only follow this a little bit because I know it's a long, drawn-out thing. It's like watching the Jets try to trade with the Packers for Aaron Rodgers, which only so many people are going to understand that would listen to this podcast. But it's very long and drawn out.
Trying to simplify it and explain who it is, and he goes, "It's like the Jets trying to trade for Aaron Rodgers."
I wasn't there yet. It's the equivalent, from what I understand, of the FTC, but for the UK. That's what it is.
What does
Federal
this have to
Trade
do with?
Commission.
Because it's a very long, drawn out process. Long, drawn out process that shouldn't have to be this long, but it's going to continue to be this long. Like you said earlier, Tim, I'm just sick of hearing about this. Shut up. Anyways, so yes, so they blocked the Xbox Activision deal. Which doesn't mean that the deal is necessarily dead as of right now, but they have concerns over the cloud gaming, and they did not think that Xbox's their not grievances, that's not concessions that they'd be willing to do in that space was sufficient enough to allow the deal to go through. So
Right. So they're worried that Xbox Microsoft controls too much of the cloud gaming market.
Yeah.
If they acquire Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, they feel like it won't allow enough room for like natural growth through the market.
I think it's hilarious that the excuse that they always give with this is competition, but like this is the natural consequence of competition is someone wins, and Xbox is like, hey, What the fuck? Like, I get it. Fairness is the right word that they're looking for. And that's accurate. But I keep saying it stifles competition. I was like, yeah.
Here's what I say to that. What competition? Where is the cloud gaming competition?
That's true.
Yeah, because it's just like, yeah, NVIDIA exists, okay,
yeah,
and they were going to
NVIDIA.
get all Xbox's shit anyway.
Yeah. NVIDIA. And like Justin and I were talking about this earlier, because this is the part that doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand how Xbox is cornering the market on cloud gaming when just a few years ago, which we looked this up as like 2019, 2020, Microsoft and Sony have decided to get in a partnership over surrounding Microsoft's Azure technology, and now that technology is directly supporting the PlayStation version of Game Pass right now. Like that, like they enabled that whole thing to be able to happen because Sony did not have the technology on their own to do it. So like I don't like they're enabling more competition. They're not trying to withhold this from anybody. And I guess the thing that I don't understand is like, so you're scared that they're gonna put like WoW on a phone? Have you heard of Genshin? Have you heard of Honkai? No, not Honkai Impact. Honkai Star Rail or whatever that just fucking came out today. That's the new game that the Genshin people came out with.
Genshin.
Yeah, it's Sci-Fi Genshin. It's free to play. You can play it on your phone. You know how many people play fucking Genshin? Like I don't understand. Basically, that's what it feels like. Hell, I want to play Star Rail, but I don't. I want to finish Dead Island first, right? I like to give these games a shot. I played Genshin for a little while, and I actually ran halfway decent on my phone when I did try it on that. But anyways, it's besides the point.
It seems really strange that this is like a step too far. Like, oh no, you can't possibly get Call of Duty and World of Warcraft and Overwatch and put those on cloud gaming. That will end the cloud gaming market.
Right.
That would be all there is.
A free-to-play game, a free-to-play game, and a free-to-play game. Oh no, they can't have Warzone and WoW without a subscription and fucking Overwatch 2, which is also free-to-play. They can't have those. That's a step too far, guys. That's just... Fuck, you can't stream free-to-play stuff for free. Like, why? It stifles competition. You're winning too much.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like something about this deal that we're just missing, or if they're just they don't know what they're talking about, you know?
I think there is a misunderstanding with the cloud gaming market. They did remember they did have a very like big misunderstanding about the console gaming market for a long time. Like it didn't make any fucking sense what their arguments were. It was like anybody who plays video games understands that none of this makes sense, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, Sony with their 90% market share.
Right. Well, so that was the FTC. That wasn't the CMA. The FTC is on a whole different level of dumb shit, right?
Which I thought was hilarious that Jim Ryan was like, hey, you need to stop the Activision thing. And the FTC goes, 90% Sony, that's bad, right?
Yeah.
Whoops.
Well, and there's been weird things. Mostly it's been the FTC that's done the really dumb stuff, like trying to subpoena Nintendo for documents and then missing the window to subpoena Nintendo for documents, and Nintendo going, we don't have to do this. You didn't do it in the proper... You had 3 months to give us a subpoena, and you missed it. So, fuck you. We're not doing it.
This conversation, I did this, and I wish I had a little red coat for him.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Is that a little Cossack Mandalorian?
Yes.
It kind of looks like it. I was thinking more like the palace guards outside.
Oh,
the
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't talk to them.
CMA regulators.
Don't talk to them.
Yeah. So I don't know. So this is obviously going to get appealed. The big thing that sucks for me personally is I was really hoping Diablo would be on Game Pass come June, right. And that is now not going to happen. Maybe by Christmas. Because this shit's going to take for fucking ever. And because of this, the CMA coming down with this decision, the FTC portion, there was basically a talk that if the CMA approved this, the Xbox was basically just going to tell FTC to suck it, and they were going to close the deal anyways, is what they were going to do. Because what the original thing that the FTC brought up was not something that could actually block the merger. More fucking legal jargon and systems that I don't understand, but that's how it's been explained. So yeah, so like this was a big deal today that this came out. I would still think the deal long term goes through, but this is just kind of delaying the inevitable. There's probably going to be more concessions given by Microsoft, I would assume.
Like what? Who else do they have to give Game Pass to? Do they have to come to?
I don't know if it's so much
to have Game Pass on PlayStation. Is that what's
I don't know if it's so much.
PlayStation doesn't want that.
Jim would love that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's so much about giving out Game Pass as it is just about long-term accessibility. But I don't really
think that's it because Jim Ryan is off the record as being quoted as saying, you could give us a 20-year deal on Call of Duty. It's more we just don't want you to have Call of Duty.
Well, yeah. They don't. They just don't want they don't want the merger to go through in general, right?
Right.
But I don't think I'm not speaking directly about like Sony people. I think it's just more about like, so something that in the video that Destin put together was that like the cloud gaming market in the UK is like tripled since it tripled from like the beginning of 2021 to the end of 2022 or something like that. Like there's been a huge surge in that market. And so that they're worried, seeing that surge in the market, that if they give it all, like if they give this stuff to Microsoft and Microsoft just tosses it on Game Pass, that nobody else is going to be able to legitimately be able to like compete at that point. Like that's the thought process. Here's my thing. I don't. Well, that is part of it, right? Like nobody's like legitimately trying to, but I personally believe that's because nobody has the same technology that Microsoft has. Like Microsoft's been plugging away at this cloud gaming thing for like a decade, it feels like, if not longer.
And that's something the CMA states is Xbox has a huge head start on this.
Right, but they planned it. Like you're penalizing them for making a good business strategy. Like that's the part that doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Like, oh, so now we need to let everybody else play catch up before we can, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like
the closest competing services out there is you have Sony with their stuff, but their cloud gaming stuff is not nearly. It's not close. Unless you have a PS5 and you're doing local streaming, it's not the same thing. Nvidia, but what Nvidia does is they let you stream games you own and a select few other titles that are available through their service, like on their hardware. So you log into your Steam account and you can play your games on their hardware and stream that video signal too. So that's not the same service. Shadow does the same thing. Chrome, like Google Chromecast, Stadia shit was kind of trying to do it, and then they were like, nah, we don't want to do this.
Yeah.
You know what's hilarious? If Stadia didn't kill itself, would that make it easier for Xbox to go through? Because the Xbox would be like, hey, we're gonna put Game Pass on Stadia.
Well, I don't even think it would have been that. I think it would have been a market leader that actually has the fucking money to compete. Because as of right like there's as of right now, like all these people we're naming don't like as overall companies, they just don't fucking. Microsoft's $1 trillion company.
Nvidia has the money and the tech it could dump into this service, into building a service like this.
But it's not their bread. It's not their bread and butter. Like they're a hardware company.
Is Luna still a thing, or is that shut down too?
It might as well be because nobody. I don't know of anybody who's ever attempted to use it.
I've seen people with the control. I think people buy the controllers, but I don't think people subscribe to the service. Kind of like with Stadia, I see a lot of like people testing like retro game streaming stuff with a Stadia controller because the controller was actually decent. But nobody fucking uses, obviously, because Stadia died.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, so it's like the on one hand, I understand why they have concerns, but at the same time, it's like, but who are you allowing to enter the market by doing this? Like,
Right. Nobody wants a monopoly.
Right.
But nobody's rising to the occasion to fight Game Pass,
Right. Like it just doesn't. Well, and the other piece of this is like, even if let's say the merger happened, WoW is not coming to mobile, right? Like, it's going to be a stretch for it to fucking come to the Xbox. I think that would have to be the first transition, is like, WoW would have to go to console, because then if you wanted to stream it or bring it to mobile, you could have the controller schemes already set up for your fucking, like, docked controllers and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's no way you're playing, like, touch control.
No,
WoW,
100%.
Like a billion little
not fucking happening, right? So, so there's that. So, like, you bring Overwatch to who the fuck cares? It's Overwatch. Like, nobody like, Overwatch has some kind of following. It's not League of Legends. Like, you know what I mean?
Overwatch 1.
No, it's not, like, so that's kind of like my confusion. Like, you're gonna bring Call of Duty to phones? So there's already Call of Duty on phones. There's a whole fucking game. Like, so that, like, if you look at any of those major IPs, it's just like, what are you afraid of? Like, have you seen somebody play WoW? Do you see these? You see the fucking 18 icons that are just macroed to all casts at the same? Like, I don't know, man. Like, that's the
Yeah.
It's like the disconnect. It's like asking, does TikTok connect to your Wi-Fi? Like, it's the equivalent of just the not knowing because they're old. Like, it is. I don't know, man.
The internet is a series of tubes.
Video games cause violence.
I will say, after watching them flip flop
Same motherfuckers
on the console, on the whole console market thing, I think with enough deliberation and stuff like that, eventually it'll go through and it won't be a big deal. But right now, it just seems dumb. And this isn't even to really be like an Xbox leaning like idea, but there's no legitimate argument here. Like, there's just not.
No, I would love PlayStation to have a good streaming, like, cloud service
100%.
that I could play on my computer.
Yes.
But it's not there.
they tried that one time. It tried in air quotes.
Yeah.
They didn't try very hard.
I tried to play even just like Bloodborne streaming, and it just like was so laggy and bad.
Yeah. I played Days Gone like that a little bit.
Their remote play stuff has gotten good, but like they're not pushing that service.
All right, 1 second. Back to Dead Island. Biggest negative of Dead Island: there's not enough zombies.
What?
Yeah. So, Days Gone, right? Zombies fucking at hordes, right? That whole thing, non-existent in Dead Island. Like, the zombie population needs to be like,
you picked
10x.
the wrong game to base your zombie horde expectations off of. Picked the very.
I'm just using them as like like I'm using Days Gone as an example because if you guys ever play it, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just not like the density of zombies that you would think for LA, right? Doesn't feel correct. You know what I mean? Like when you're running around, it was a valid criticism. I felt like when Moist Critical brought it up because I hadn't really thought about it, but then when he said it, I was like, oh, you know what? That's a good point.
Limitation of like all the technology they put into like the dismemberment and everything. Like they couldn't have more zombies.
This game
potentially
started development a decade ago, so like
that doesn't leave no room for criticism. You get what I'm saying? Like,
I'm saying your baseline of Days Gone had bigger.
Days Gone had a ton of issues on release. Remember, like it was a very broken game when it first came out.
Also, Days Gone's zombie horde size is
it's
insanity.
It's insane.
Nothing does that.
But there's.
I get your overall point of there's not enough zombies. Okay, but like.
But there's not even like an equivalent. There's no hordes, right? There's missions where you have waves come at you, but there's no like holy fuck, run away because no, it's look at them 5 zombies. What the fuck you up? And you just equip something and you go at it. Or
fun.
I mean, it kind of is until you get guns, and that can really. Something else I forgot to bring up. it can be fun to just run around and shoot zombies, but it kind of ruins the experience because you will annihilate zombies with fucking gun. Like, it's not special zombie shows up, bop bop, and it's just like it's over. Nope, no biggie. Bye, bitch. So, anyways, sorry, I forgot to mention that earlier, but it would. Justin, there could be some validity to the fact that it was like there's just too much. Each individual zombie has too much going on with it that they couldn't really up the population size. But I mean, if they even would have doubled it over what it is right now, I think it would have been. I don't think it would have been as big a deal. So, but yeah. Speaking
of big deal.
Yeah, I mean it's about that time, ain't it, boys?
It's about time to end the old podcast.
Yeah. And I'm gonna play another like 30 minutes of Dead Island before I go to bed.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna go lay in my bed and play
Wasteland. So
very nice.
All right. Well, any closing thoughts, sirs?
I started playing Yakuza 0 on the Xbox because all the Yakuza games are like on Game Pass.
Yep.
Game's fucking funny, dude. The game is fucking funny. Oh my god. I'm really enjoying it. I've only played like 40 minutes probably.
Right.
Odie,
yeah.
I wouldn't say this to most couples, but you and Emily should play the Yakuza games together. Because they are very much her sense of humor, and you're going to think it's hilarious.
Okay.
You're going to think the things she's laughing at are hilarious more than the things happening on screen hilarious. Like, you'll think that's funny, but you'll think the way she's laughing about shit is even funnier.
Two things that really stuck out to me so far. First of all, there's fighting in the game, and your character is incredibly violent. So fucking violent. There's a fight where I picked up a bike, and like this dude was on the ground, and I smashed the bike on top of him, and then I like stomped through the bike into the dude's head, and blood and money sprays out of your enemies as you beat the shit out of them. Okay. I was just like, oh my god. Other thing, you meet this guy who's like a professional fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And his buddy's kind of telling you about him, but he describes him as a professional fister. There's just a whole bit where your character's like, no, I don't think I want to meet him. No, he's great. He can teach you a lot. Is that like an S&M thing? No. Very goofy.
That's funny. That is funny. What, Tim? What was that? You just.
Oh no! I just found. I was playing with my hand.
Whoa! Speaking of professional fister,
is that an S&M thing or what?
No, not like that. Where is it?
I don't know.
You what?
Oh man!
I whipped it out.
I fucking hate you guys. That's funny though.
I'm not the one who put the whipped it out thing in there. I hate that you did that to my voice, but I also think it's hilarious.
It's very funny. It's very well done.
I have no idea what I was talking about. I still have no context for that.
I don't know, man.
It's hilarious.
It's a mystery.
Anyways, you got anything, Tim?
Play more games that feel old but are new.
Okay.
Well, we've all been doing that. You're playing fucking Dead Island 2, which genuinely feels like Dead Island 2, and Dead Island came out when we were in high school. So, that's great. That's awesome. Justin's playing... I'm playing fucking Mech Warrior 5, which genuinely has so many throwbacks to the old Mech Warrior games from the fucking 90s that I love. And then Wasteland, which is like... It's great.
Nothing wrong with old games.
Nope.
Like we always say, play them.
Keep making old games, but new. That's great.
Remasters.
Perfect.
Make all the remasters.
No, not remasters. Not remasters. Make new old games.
Anyways, I don't have anything.
Let's go.
I don't have anything. Go kill zombies. Go enjoy all the games coming out. Game Pass came out with a bunch of games. Cassette Beast is one of them. Play that. Play Coffee Talk 2. Coffee Talk 1 is fun if you want a really chill game with some lo-fi. Anyways, all right. We love you. We will see you next week at 10 Central on Wednesday. And that's all we got. All right, later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Main, kill, burn! Main, kill, burn!
Oh, that's our new. That's new.